Thanks for tuning in to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I am your international certified life coach, Tiadra Taylor. The sole purpose of this podcast is to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. Yes, it's time to break chains and to get unstuck. Thanks again for joining in. Let's begin. Hello, and thank you guys for joining me for yet again another episode of the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I go by the name of Coach T. I am your virtual certified life and relationship coach. Now, listen, guys, before I jump into this week's podcast, I just want to issue a quick reminder. The Breakup to Breakthrough Journal is dropping April 2nd. It will be here before you know it, ready for purchase. And listen, I understand that this journal is not for everybody. Everybody's not going through a breakup. Everybody's not going through relationship issues. So I absolutely get that. But I know for a fact that there is a large amount of individuals that listen to my podcast that are going through breakup issues. And I made this journal just for you. Okay. This journal is powerful. It has coaching techniques that I personally have used. I've adapted to, I've grown through, and I'm giving this knowledge on to you guys. So I'm excited about the release of this journal. As I said, April 2nd, be on the lookout. I'm actually setting up a way that you can actually start to pre-order the journal now. So for those of you who would like to get a fresh, a head start on the journals, just go ahead and you could log on to the rwcpodcast.com. Go ahead to the store and you will see the journal there. You will see the price. You can go ahead and order it. As I said, the journals will not be mailed out until April 2nd on the release date, but feel free to put your order in now. Okay. That being said, I want to talk about the topic of being alone. I've entitled this podcast, "It is Okay to Be Alone." And given the fact that the journal is about to be released in a few weeks, I think it was awesome that God gave me this word and these things to just relay to my listeners, because I think it's important for us to understand that it is okay to be alone. I think one of the most valuable things that most of us women were never taught, and men as well, were never taught, was how much value we possess without the need of validation from someone else. Basically meaning how we really don't need a mate in our life telling us how smart and how intelligent we are in order for us to feel complete. Many of us were never taught that. We weren't I know I wasn't. I didn't grow up in a household where, embracing being by yourself was even a discussion. I mean, my sister was a year and 6 months apart from me. There was no time to be alone. I grew up with siblings, and I'm sure many of you have. See, we're not taught how to reach internally for comfort. Instead, we are constantly programmed through social media and so many other outlets into believing that external factors make us complete. Look at how women often will associate her worth with the fact that she now has a husband. Like somehow her stature as a wife makes her more valuable. And I'm not saying that all women do this. I'm just saying that most of us probably know a person that feels like they've somehow reached a certain stature because they can now say that they have a husband. And somehow they tie their worth and their identity to the fact that, listen, I have someone who loved me enough to marry me. But see, they never acknowledge the fact that a woman is valuable and will always be of value, regardless of her relationship status. See, I truly believe that if never taught, we search for love because we think it must come from somewhere else or someone else. We become so fixated with love that we sacrifice so much to obtain it and maintain it because no one taught us that it really starts within. We're constantly looking somewhere else for it. No one teaches how important it is for us to be okay to love on ourselves. How it's okay to date yourself. The enemy has always focused his efforts on making the woman feel broken and invaluable. And the purpose of that is because once the woman feels broken and invaluable, she begins to attract those who are broken too. And as we all know, two broken people coming together and colliding, neither of them end up having the tools to fix one another. So instead, they just break each other more. And this is the thing, because whenever we're not comfortable with our own self and our own presence, we end up settling for relationships that most of the times are unhealthy, just so that you can feel that assurance that you're not alone. It's better to deal with this toxic love or this man who doesn't appreciate you or this man who constantly comes back and forth in your life. Somehow you forced yourself to believe that it's better to deal with this heartache and this pain that this person brings than to be alone. It's truly difficult to believe that you deserve the best when you have yet to realize that you are God's best. You were crafted to the best of God's ability. But how can you begin to really appreciate that when you feel a void when you're not, in a relationship? You feel a void when you've been put into a season of singleness. Learning how to enjoy your own company is so important. Listen, if you can't find joy in your own company, if you can't be entertained, if you don't have the ability to entertain yourself, how do you expect someone else to? How do you expect somebody to find joy in your presence when you haven't even figured out how to find joy in your presence? You can't deal with your own self by yourself, yet you want someone else to. Listen to how that sounds. And whenever we don't learn to make peace with being alone when we enter into these seasons of singleness, and I'm not, and mind you, I'm not saying loneliness. I'm saying seasons of singleness. If we don't learn to make peace with the season, then we miss out on so many opportunities for growth. When you are alone, this is where you learn who you truly are. Being alone teaches you how to listen to that inner voice, and it gives you space and opportunity to think for yourself. See, and I say that to say because many people who are hungry for relationships, whether you're a male or a woman and you're hungry for relationships and you fear the feeling of being alone, you will often find yourself conforming into what others want you to be because it's better to conform so this person will stay with you than to be alone. And this is why it's important to have this time, so that you can give yourself the space and opportunity to think of what you want, to really know what you want in relationships and in life. Because if not, you will eventually allow your partner to tell you what to feel, what to want, and what to do. because you have no clue on how to feel, how to be independent from a relationship, and how to think for yourself. This is why it is so powerful to go through a season of self-exclusion sometimes. Excluding yourself and just loving on yourself. It is okay. This is the time where God literally takes this opportunity to fine-tune you so that you know you are better and you know you can do better. And he fine-tunes you in a way that nobody else can. Nobody else can. He crafted you. These are the times you go back to the maker and you say, make me anew. But see, what happens is so many women and men get out of relationships or they get out of situationships and then they feel stuck. Because society has forced us to believe that somehow when you're secluded from the crowd or you're secluded from people who are supposed to love on you or this relationship or this marriage, society teaches us that we're odd because you need this. And it truly programs you into thinking that you need this, but that is not true. When you know you, no one can come into your life and force you to be someone you are not. When you are comfortable with spending time with yourself, no one can come into your life and threaten to walk away. And they sure can't threaten to walk away with your happiness. They just wouldn't hold that much power because you've learned that it's okay to be enough. You are enough. You always have been and you always will be. You are complete within yourself. Sure, it's a beautiful thing to be loved and to give that love away. But it's almost just as beautiful when you feel love without the presence of someone having to give it to you. Listen, one thing I've learned from going through a divorce is that there are wonderful things you can discover about yourself when you focus on yourself. Talents you never knew you had. Passions that had been just waiting to be born. Peace like you have never felt before. Assurance and confidence in yourself because all you have is you. You learn how to encourage yourself and rely on God, your creator, for the things that you need most. And you learn to release the need of having some man who's not your creator provide the things that you need and the healing that you need for you. So I don't know who this podcast is for. I don't know who is going through a season of singleness right now. I don't know who's out there feeling alone, but God didn't give me this word for no reason. If that is you, I'm praying that you embrace this season. I am speaking from professional and personal experience. There are beautiful things that will come in this season. I promise you. Even if you're hurt right now, even if it's tough, even if you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, so you're listening to podcasts all day, whatever it may be for you. It's some powerful lessons to learn in this season. And these lessons are all about yourself. Be selfish with yourself right now. Learn you. The same way you learned that person in that last relationship. Learn you. Have fun with yourself. Learn how to entertain yourself. So that next time you enter into a relationship, a situationship, you know who you are. And it won't be so hard for you to lose who you are in that relationship because you're sure of who you are. And it sure won't be easy for someone to manipulate you into acting and doing things in the way that pleases only them. Because you've become okay with being alone. And during the process of becoming okay with being alone, you learned your